This is something that caught Russell's eye, so I'm going to let him quarterback this one. This is from Deadline. Of course, the Oscars are coming up soon, and so this headline here, Academy won't revoke Andrea Riseborough's To Leslie Oscar nomination despite backlash, but, quote, tactics are being addressed.
Andrea Riseborough is from Newcastle, which is kind of a blue-collar area of England. Her mother was a secretary.
Shittiest beer in Europe, Newcastle. Horrible.
Yeah. See? So she had to grow up on that beer. Her father was a used car salesman, so this is somebody who did not have it easy. She was in a movie called To Leslie that you didn't see, I didn't see, nobody saw it. It made $27,000. But she's been knocking around supporting roles. She was in Birdman with Ed Norton. So she knew a lot of prominent actors. And they started a grassroots campaign to get her an Oscar nomination. Now, yes, it's not grassroots in the sense that, these were people at the Walmart lobbying for this, but let's face it, you don't get the nomination that way. The fact that she got the nomination this way was quite miraculous. One could say it was a Hollywood feel-good story, right? That this is the scrappy underdog beating the big corporate campaigns, because it's not that they were doing something unusual in lobbying for an Oscar. This is what studios do. They take out billboards, they take out ads, they solicit Academy members to watch the movie, they send screeners to them. What's unusual is that she actually got a nomination this way. And very quickly, this led to an investigation, which the only justification for that seems to be that this didn't come from the studio system. Like, why else would you investigate this? So Christina Ricci actually tweeted out about this. Seems hilarious that the surprise nomination, quote unquote, meaning tons of money wasn't spent to position this actress of a legitimately brilliant performance, is being met with an investigation. So it's only the films and actors that can afford the campaigns that deserve recognition. Feels elitist and exclusive and frankly very backward to me. Now, she later deleted that because I guess she still wants to work, and I don't know, she doesn't want them to boot her off season 2 of Wednesday. One person who particularly was outraged by this nomination was Chinonye, I'm going to murder this, I don't mean to, Chukwu, who was the director of Till, which was about the fight that Emmett Till's mother went on for justice. Now, I can't comment on that film. I can't comment on Riseborough's film either. I don't know anything about these. I haven't seen either of these films. I can't say whether one deserved to win over the other. But Chukwu, the director of the film, went right to that this demonstrates that Hollywood is aggressively committed to upholding whiteness, and that it has unabashed misogyny toward Black women. Now, whether that's true or not true, just examining this particular case, this is where these things really wind up being a way for the establishment to try to protect its power under a veneer of social justice. Because she actually, Ms. Chukwu, actually comes from a very privileged background. Her parents were professors. They were in the petroleum industry. They both taught at top universities. This is a proper application of the term intersectionality, right? Okay, so Riseborough has the class discrimination going against her. And I wouldn't argue, even though she grew up in privilege, that the director of Till does not have a racial discrimination against her. But at that point, was this decision really made on that basis? Really, why did they go and investigate this? Did they investigate it because it was a white actress, or did they investigate it because it was an outside campaign? Would there have been this kind of an investigation if it was, they're not investigating all of the others where they were backed by studio-led campaigns for them to get these nominations? They're only investigating the one where this working class actor managed to get some prominent friends to lobby for her.
Well, it's widely known that in order to get nominated for Oscars, you have to run a campaign. That's part of the gatekeeping, right? It's very unusual for a micro-budget film to get nominated for anything, because even if it does really well on the festival circuit,
They can't
really
afford
well
the
with
campaign.
critics, and even amongst the Academy voters, what are there, like 6,000 of them who work in the industry? They tend to see lots of films. Even they get screeners mailed to them for the SAG Awards and things like that. To get nominated for an Oscar, yes, you have to lobby. It's just like running a campaign, actually. Tusker Super Chat, which thank you again. You mean she ran a third-party nomination campaign and now the establishment is angry? Yes, yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And the fact that they're hiding behind race, that is a perfect metaphor for identity politics writ large. This is relatively trivial. This is the Oscars, right? But what they're doing here, and the way the establishment felt a need to launch an investigation when an outsider won, when there are all of these other people who got nominations. Why aren't they investigating them? What pressure and influence did the studio assert with its multi-million-dollar campaign? It is because Riseborough doesn't have that kind of money. She doesn't come from that kind of background. So she had to rely on actors who admired her craft. And she was able, in spite of her disadvantages, in spite of this being a micro film with a micro budget that made a very small amount of money, lunch money for Hollywood, that should be a story of triumph. And the way that the establishment is hiding behind identitarian excuses to change rules to make it harder to do this in the future, i.e., make sure that Hollywood maintains its control over the nomination process, that's really a story of class. That's really, and they hide behind a story of race. Because that story they're comfortable telling.
They're going to have to implement a superdelegate system soon, it seems like. We cannot stand for this.
Please clap.